Every gardener has that one trick they quietly rely on, something simple, repeatable, and almost too effective to talk about without sounding dramatic. For me, that trick happens every winter, and it starts with a single kitchen scrap that almost everyone throws away without a second thought. It isn't banana peels, it's not coffee grounds, and it's definitely not eggshells. It's the one scrap that winter soil microorganisms absolutely crave, because it sets off a chain reaction that carries straight into spring. I'm talking about burying winter citrus rinds, orange, lemon, and mandarin peels right into the cold soil so that by the time the season turns, my compost piles and garden beds explode with activity. To understand why citrus works so well, you need to know what winter soil is actually doing beneath the surface. Gardeners often assume everything goes dormant, frozen, or still, but if you dig just a few inches down, the soil ecosystem is very much alive even in winter. Fungi remain active at lower temperatures, winter-hardy bacteria continue breaking down carbon, and the worm population huddles deep in search of stable, slow-burning food sources. Citrus rinds fit this role perfectly. They decompose slowly, releasing small amounts of sugars, acids, oils, and micronutrients that attract microbial life at a time when not much else is being added to the soil. It's this slow, cold-season microbial work that sets the stage for the explosion of activity in spring. Citrus doesn't break down quickly on the compost pile in warm weather, and that's exactly why it's so effective when buried in winter. When temperatures drop, decomposition slows for everything, except materials that naturally contain antifungal, antimicrobial, and acidic compounds designed to react gradually. Citrus peels degrade inch by inch underground. This means the microbial community interacts with them slowly instead of all at once. As they soften, the starches and oils become a food source that supports bacteria, nematodes, and certain fungi that thrive in chilly conditions. Instead of rotting into a wet, slimy mess, citrus rinds turn leathery, then brittle, and finally melt into the surrounding soil by early spring. Their steady breakdown feeds the exact organisms that later kick your compost pile into high gear. The best part is that burying citrus peels acts like a slow-release booster for any compost system you use later. Gardeners who bury citrus throughout winter often report the same pattern. Come spring, when they add fresh green waste to their compost pile, the pile heats faster, holds temperature longer, and breaks down more completely. This isn't magic, it's biology. By feeding cold-season microbes early, you build up a larger, more diverse microbial workforce. When warmth returns, those populations are primed and ready. Instead of spending 2 or 3 weeks rebuilding microbial momentum, your compost pile starts at full speed from day one. Everything breaks down faster because the underlying biology has already been trained all winter. The method itself is incredibly simple, and you can, adapt it to any garden layout. Each week during winter, just save your citrus peels, orange rinds, lemon skins, grapefruit peel, mandarin shells, even leftover squeezed halves. You can chop them roughly if you want them to break down a little faster, but honestly, whole peels work just as well. Then just head out to the garden with a small spade and pick a different patch of ground each time. Dig a hole about 8 to 10 inches deep. Place the citrus in the bottom, cover with soil, and walk away. You don't need to water it in or mix it with leaves. The moisture in the soil is enough. In raised beds, I rotate the burying spots so that by the end of winter, each corner has received at least one citrus charge. In ground-level gardens, I use a grid pattern so I'm not overloading any one section. A simple ratio that works well is 1 handful of citrus for every square foot of soil over the course of the winter. It's not exact science, just enough spread to make a difference without overwhelming the natural pH balance. If you garden in colder climates where the ground freezes solid, the method still works with a small adjustment. Instead of digging directly into frozen soil, create a winter trench in late fall. Dig a trench about 10 inches deep, fill the bottom with a thin layer of shredded leaves, and leave it open. As the winter progresses, just drop your citrus rinds directly into the trench and loosely cover with snow, straw, or soil whenever possible. The trench acts like a compost pocket that stays slightly warmer than the surrounding ground. By early spring, most of the citrus will be broken down enough that you can simply cover and plant over it, or shovel the enriched material into your compost pile. The soil benefits go beyond just boosting compost. Citrus rinds naturally contain limonene and other aromatic oils that repel certain pests during decomposition. Underground, these compounds don't harm worms or microbes, but they can deter soil-dwelling pests that overwinter near the surface. As the citrus decomposes, the acidity neutralizes and contributes small amounts of magnesium, calcium, sulfur, and potassium, minerals your soil will happily claim. The microbial boost carries into the growing season too. Plants in beds where citrus was buried tend to root faster in spring because the soil becomes softer and more biologically active. Worms also return earlier to citrus-rich areas because the softened, microbially enriched soil becomes an immediate food source. By the time spring arrives, your compost pile responds like you've given it a starter motor. Add your greens and browns as usual and watch the temperature spike quickly. Material breaks down smoother, fewer chunks remain, and the pile stays active longer. The microbes you fed all winter are now the backbone of your compost system. If you want practical, real-world garden techniques like this every week, make sure to subscribe and share this guide with other gardeners. A little winter citrus can transform your compost and your soil more than you'd ever expect.